Next, your professional profile. So a concise and powerful professional profile consists of 3 to 5 sentences that answer the following questions. Who are you? What do you offer? What do you want? Another way of approaching this task is to think of yourself as a product and using some marketing basics. Ask yourself, what are you selling? Hint, the product's you. Who is your target audience? The consumer in this case is the hiring manager for the company that you're applying for. Thirdly, what is your end goal? Think about how this job will help you professionally, but at the same time, how can you benefit the company that you're applying for? And as a student, this is a really great opportunity for you to tell a story about who you want to be when you grow up. So first things first, let's talk about who you are. And finding the right adjective or word to describe who you are can be really tricky. Luckily for us, there are a ton of great resources online, and I've included some in the description below this video. But first, let's talk about how you identify. Most of us will probably identify as students, but you also might want to consider that you're a lifelong learner or a graduate, a provider, or a specialist, especially if you're pivoting out of an industry into IT. When it comes to adjectives to describe who you are, the number one used adjective of all time is experienced. So when you're considering how to describe yourself, stay away from that word. Think about other adjectives that might not be used that often, and that will set you apart from your competition. Thirdly, you need to ask yourself, what skills do you possess that would matter most to this hiring manager? Guess what? It's all written there in the job description. Here you'll see a real job description from a company here in Indianapolis, Genesis. They're an IT service provider that employs over 900 folks here in the area. As you can see, I've bolded some of these keywords, so you can see some consistency throughout this job description. The main thing I want you to see is that there is some repeating trends here. If you look very closely, you'll see that more than once, this job description mentions providing resolution. So you can bet that this is what they're looking for first and foremost out of a great candidate, somebody who can provide resolution. So if you're not putting this on your resume, you're not going to get that interview. So now that we've found out a little bit about what should be in your professional summary, let's look at some examples of some bad, better, and best who you are plus what you offer statements. So here's an example of a bad statement. The reason why this is bad is not only is it written in with personal pronouns, there's also some spelling errors, and it also right off the bat talks about what the person wants as opposed to what that person can offer the company. A better attempt at the same sentence would use those great adjectives to explain where the student is coming from and what kind of experience they have and what they can bring to the company. But you'll notice in this example, the word experience is used multiple times, which can kind of sound redundant, especially for somebody that is reading resume after resume and probably seeing this word experienced over and over again. Now let's look at a best example. You'll see here that the word experience does not show up. It has been instead replaced with other adjectives to describe this individual, as well as knowledge and really drilling down into those specific skills that this person holds. Following the same format, let's go ahead and look at some examples of the what you want statement. Let's go ahead and look at the bad example first. This is considered bad because not only is it written in first person and comes across as incredibly informal, it also only speaks to what the candidate wants out of the position and doesn't offer any of that skill set that would benefit the company overall. It's not considered in good taste to talk about your monetary motivation. You'll want to tie your want statement to the company's values and missions, as well as the outcomes outlined in the job description, and leave the salary discussions for much later. Now let's look at a better example. This one is much more formal and outlines exactly what the candidate is looking for. They also vaguely touch upon the skill sets that they would be bringing to the position, as well as the outcome goal of growing those skill sets. However, it still is very neutral, kind of generic, and can be used across the board, and it doesn't speak specifically to the company or the job that the person is applying for. So the best example not only shows the employer that the student wants the opportunity to engage with industry professionals, but also showcases those skills and a specific end goal of wanting to refine data destruction skills necessary for a great career in cybersecurity. So let's go ahead and put it all together. Once you combine those three statements together, the who you are, the what you offer, and the what you want, you'll see that it formulates a great, concise 3 to 5 sentence story about what you're looking for in particular and what you can offer that company. So remember, the goal of the resume is to not get the job, but to land the interview for that job. And the way to do that is to make sure that your professional summary is as concise as possible. Get rid of all unnecessary fluff words like really or exponentially or anything like that, and don't repeat yourself. If you have those skill sets listed under your skill section, don't repeat it in your professional summary. You should be using 3 to 5 well-formulated sentences. In some cases, those can even be bullet points. You want to include your best and most relevant skill set in your professional summary and leave all the other skills in your skill section. You want to include those soft and technical skills that are listed first and foremost in the job description. Did you spell check and did you check for grammar errors? If you did, do it again. If you did it twice, do it a third time. Give it to your family, give it to your friends, give it to me to make sure that everything is error-free. And last but not least, as a student, you can really use this professional profile to tell your story. You have a little bit more wiggle room to talk about your future goals and what you aspire to be. So don't hold back about where you see yourself in 5 years. If you want to be a premier cybersecurity professional, write that. A lot of employers are willing to invest in you if they know exactly what you want to do with your life and your career.